the first time that my husband and I were sitting here, and your dish came, and something like creative genius, and I call you creative genius, like you transfer us to a place, a dimension of creativity that we never imagined. Like I was in awe, like my husband and I were speechless. So my first question to you, if you could take me to the process, the creative process that you go through to create a dish, how would it be? What is the first thing you think? And if you could take me to that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So the conceptualization process of a dish starts with a single ingredient. And we figure out through conversations with our farmers, foragers, or whatever ingredient we choose to use. We have a great conversation with them as to how long it's in season, when it's in season, when can we get it at the height of its season, and then we start thinking about how we're going to use it this year. So if we're talking about fennel, how do we utilize fennel this year different than we did last year? And what's going to be interesting about it? And how do we keep the diner engaged with what we're going to do with that fennel, but also give them enough sense that we respect the ingredient, but we also have to push it a little bit further to keep them intellectually engaged while they're having a 2.5 hour experience. So you have to, as a diner, you have to understand that a little bit. So that's my responsibility, is to give you something that's creative, but also give you something that's very familiar. And sometimes not sometimes, it's always easy to do that because it's food. A lot of people are very familiar with food. And we talk about fennel. You know when you have a piece of fennel, you know you're eating fennel. And that's my job to make sure it stays that way. But it's also my job to push the boundaries with that fennel. So, for instance, we can use that fennel in 40 different ways throughout that dish, but it's still fennel. But there's 40 different maybe techniques or applications that we're using to get that end result.
And how long does it take for you to, because I assume to be where you are, you have the high standard, like how long it takes for you to start thinking and then you're looking like, that's ready, it's ready?
Well, it goes through a series of process, right? It'll be conceptualized on paper. First, it's thought about in the brain, it's thought about in the mind, it's thought about what flavors we can pair with it. And usually I only pair 2 to 3 other flavors with a certain ingredient. So if we're saying fennel, what 2 other things that we can put with it, 3 other things at the most that we can put with it. Because I feel like if we go any further than that, it starts to get confusing. So once we have those flavors nailed down, then we explore on those flavors as well. How can we use orange and fennel together? And can we use, how many different parts of the orange can we use? Can we use the peel? Can we use the segments? Can we use the pith? Can we use just the oil? Can we use the leaves to infuse it in something else, right? That's one way of thinking about it. The fennel, the same thing. We can use the bulb, we can use the stem, we can use the flowers, we can use the seeds, we can use the pollen, we can use everything about the fennel. And we want to use everything about that fennel. Once we have all those components, then we start building the dish. We make it, we cook it, and we taste it for the first time. We're never happy the first time we taste it. There's probably, out of the 15 things, there's maybe 9 that we're going to actually like. So we're going to want to change and adapt. Maybe it's too acidic. Maybe it needs more fat. Maybe it's too fatty and we need to add some acidity. Maybe it needs salt. All these things that we start to think about when we're conceptualizing a dish come to fruition the first time. That's the very first time the base. So that could take 3 days, depending on how busy the restaurant is, how many people I can have involved making these products. Once it comes together, we taste it, take notes, reanalyze it, move forward again. The next day, it's adjusting the notes in the direction that we wanted to change it, until we're happy at a place where you can sit and have that dish and think to yourself, if I only had one more bite, then I'm satisfied. Then that's when it'll make its way on the menu.
So when do you say we, how many people are involved in this process with you?
It depends. Usually myself for the first time around, and then it can be anywhere from 2 to 3 people, depending on if it's savory or sweet application.
Wow. So when you were, I'm curious, I think there is always that one moment when you were growing up that you felt like, I was born for this. Do you remember that one dish that you made that you were like, man, I'm good at this? It's almost like when life show you your calling.
No, but I think for me it was never about making a dish that had that click moment. For me, I think it was more of the ability to make people happy, and it was that instant gratification of being able to make somebody happy with what you're doing. You can see it right away. You make something, you give it to somebody, it brings joy to them. They're happy, they're eating it, everybody's happy, right? That's, for me, that was very important, because if I was an architect where it took years to do something and then you get the satisfaction, I don't know if I'd be able to do that. For me, it was about that instant gratification of making somebody happy.
Who was the first people that you made happy with your talent?
I
that you
don't
remember?
know. I think it was just guests, customers of the restaurant that I was working in. Just being able to see them interact with the things that I actually had part of making. I wasn't the chef at the time. I was 14 years old, but I was able to help do things for them, and I was like, wow, I really like seeing people happy. I really enjoy it.
Before you decided to work in a restaurant, I'm curious to discover, like, when was the aha moment? Like, that's what I want to do, because you're pretty young. Like, you don't see many 14-year-old kid saying, I want to do this. When was the moment that you found out your gift?
It was, well, I don't know that answer, because I stepped into a kitchen when I was 14 out of the idea of wanting to make a few dollars after school. They were paying me $15 a day cash for like 4 hours worth of work. And I was happy. I was, as a 14-year-old, making $15 a day. We're talking in the 80s, that was awesome for me. And then I think as I moved away from that job, which was basically a dishwashing job, but then I was able to peel potatoes and carrots and things like that. When I was able to drive and take a job somewhere else, I think that's when it was, well, I think when I was in high school is when it really stuck on me, probably 10th grade, 9th grade.
So young.
Young.
How blessed.
Yeah,
So
I
young.
always say that I'm very blessed to be able to understand and be lucky enough to love what I do and understand and find that passion at a very young age.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go through life doing things that they don't like to do and are miserable, but they're doing it because they have to survive, they have to make a paycheck and provide for their families or whatever the reason is. But for me, I've never felt like I've worked a day in my life. It's just, I love what I do. I never wake up thinking, God, I got to go to work. It's never. It's
Even
just
when
like,
you work for other people.
No, because I've always had the mentality that I work for myself. I've never taken a job for the fact that this job's paying me more than this job. It's always like the love of food, being able to do what I want to do, being in a place where I can touch food every single day and work with my hands. It's all mattered to me, and I was lucky enough to get paid to do it.
You never had a moment you're like, I'm so because I cannot take this anymore.
Yeah, of course, I've had breaking points of pure exhaustion and working ridiculous amount of hours, but at the end of the day, you still love it. I still loved it, at least. And we always have a lot of young cooks that say, oh, I'm so tired, I'm getting burned out. I don't understand how you get burned out doing something that you love. Maybe you need to find another career. Maybe this is not meant for you. For me, I know it's meant for me, because there's not a day that I go by that I don't think about food. I don't love to touch food and be able to create with what I do every single day.
I love food, I appreciate, but I didn't realize the pressure that goes behind what you do and keep where you are. So you have 3 Michelin stars. You are in the top, and everybody said it's even difficult to maintain than to achieve. So you are in this moment like, wow, how your mind, your brain can deal with the stress and the pressure. Because I love what I'm hearing from you is like, I'm so passionate, I love what I do, but a lot of times stress can rob that passion.
Sure.
And in your case, I'm seeing like, no, I'm able to do that. And I think people that are watching us, this is a huge factor, I think, between people that succeed and people that don't, is the one that cannot deal with the stress. So how do you do to deal with the pressure, the stress you keep with?
Ironically, it's very easily. It's a handful of things. Surround yourself with amazing people, and train them and let them do it. Very simple. Let them do the things that they love to do. which is if you're hiring passionate people that are self-motivated and self-driven, you don't have to do as much. You let them do it. You guide them, you give them the direction, but you got to also let them do it. So they build confidence in what they're doing on a daily basis, so they can make the right decisions on a daily basis in the moment. That's it. Surround yourself with amazing. We have an amazing team here, and we built that from ground up, from nothing. And I always say that I think maintaining the Michelin stars is, yes, it's very difficult because it relies Michael and I to be here every single day and continue to push the team in the direction that it needs to go. And that's always going to be the vision. We'll always be that guy to push the team and give them guidance and direction as to where they want to go. But if we fall back on the things that we are doing to get us to that point, we were doing something right in the beginning anyways.
Wow.
Right? So if we analyze it too much and we start changing things and really like, this has to be at a certain angle because it's not perfectly center. If we start dissecting every little thing, then I think then we're going to start to fail. Rely on the things that we do really well and what got us to that point and continue to do it.
Where do you want to go from here?
You know, eventually I would love to own a couple other restaurants. I would love to be able to have the opportunity to step out of the kitchen and take a larger role as a restaurateur and build other restaurants for my chefs that have been with me for so long. You know, a great part of what we do is mentoring these young cooks and front of the house staff members to want to go on and do either their own thing or run other restaurants. And instead of spending all that time with us 4, 5, 6 years and then they leave to go run other restaurants, why couldn't they leave and run another restaurant that we own? You know, and keep it in the family. So like I said, a great deal of us is mentoring the young guys to go on, and eventually I want to build a restaurant for 3 or 4 of my guys that are back there that have a vision of what they want to do. We just got to be able to give it to them.
Who did mentor you? Who was your biggest mentor?
I guess I had 3 different mentors. I think the youngest for me was John Souza. John Souza was a chef that I worked for 6 years in a private country club in Ohio. On a personal level, another chef named Regan Coivisto, which is now a great friend of mine. He mentored me more on the personal side of my life. Charlie Trotter, but I don't know if Charlie Trotter was more of a mentor, but I think his chef de cuisine, which was Matthias Mergis, did a great job in shaping who I am today. And you know, Grant Achatz, of course, did an amazing job shaping me into the direction of where I am today as well. So I'm lucky enough to have a handful of people.
When you talk about the second person mentor you in your personal life, what is the biggest lesson you learned from him? Because I feel like your career, it's so difficult to, and I watch your documentary and you says that how difficult to balance the personal with the pressure, the goals you have here. So I'm interested to see what this person taught you.
Well, I think he instilled a lot of great values in me. I think he's the one that really introduced me to the idea of what you put in your body mentally is what comes out. And he introduced me to a handful of people that Zig Ziglar, which is a phenomenal read that I love to read, See You at the Top. I'm always referring back to that book because, again, you are what you feed your mind with, and you surrounding yourself with great people. I think that's one of the biggest lessons that Regan taught me was make sure you're surrounded by key people that can help get you to where you want to be.
I watched your documentary and was outstanding. Like I wasn't expecting, and I felt like even the documentary started like this is about a restaurant that turned into something that after reading about it, you guys were surprised too. Become truly inspiring life lessons. Like I want my daughters to watch that.
Thank you.
Truly, like,
Yeah.
because, you know, like I said, as a mother, as a psychologist, like I witness every day what the loss you went through can do and affect people's destiny.
Sure.
And a lot of people can never, ever overcome. And you not just survived, you thrived in such a powerful way. So, of course, I don't believe in lessons or secret, but if it exists something that you can share with people that go through such difficult losses in their lives, how can that, what would you say to them? Because you are truly an inspiration.
Wow, that's a tough question. I think everything that I do in my life is led from the love of doing something. I truly believe I don't think you can do anything great without truly loving what you do in the moment. For me, I love riding motorcycles. If I love music, if I wasn't cooking, I think I would be a rock star. I would love to be on stage in front of thousands of people, being that guy. I would race motorcycle. I would race motocross. I love doing that as a child, and now I ride street bikes more than I do anything motocross. But those are two of my other passions that I would do. Why? Because I truly love them, and I get 100% joy out of doing that. And I think if you do that in life, where it's nothing is ever sent on a monetary value, like you're going to make so much money doing this. Like I got in the business, that was the worst career choice that everybody would say. You work 80, 90 hours, you work during the holidays, you sacrifice away from your family, you're working where everybody else is playing, and you make absolutely zero money doing it. That, for me, I was like, I don't care. It's not about the money for me. It was never about the money. I grew up very poor, and I was never driven from money, so it was always driven from within. And I think if you follow that passion from within, everything else follows. It comes a full circle. Everything follows.
You know, talking to you and even seeing the sign downstairs when I was going to the lounge that you created for your staff, which I've never seen this in my life in a restaurant, somebody with this heart caring so much. And I see, like, when I was going downstairs, someone that maybe went through pain, had people that didn't value the way that you feel that you deserve in other people. And I see you like, no, this will be different. That's what I felt when I was going downstairs.
Wow.
Like, I see someone that cares, I see so much loving everything. But I see one characteristic about you, like there's a humility that I've never seen many people. And I was blessed to interview amazing people in my life, in Brazil more than here, of course. Where did you get this from? Who passed you that humility in your family, or?
I don't know. I don't know where I got it from. I think it stems from the idea that I know that I'm blessed to do what I love to do every day. And I know it's my responsibility to give back when I can give back. I don't know where it came from. I honestly don't. Maybe it's the people that I'm surrounded with. Maybe it's, I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to that, but I don't know.
And when I was watching a documentary, I wonder, and that's a question, like sometimes when someone in the family succeed so much, and sometimes other people in the family, they don't, is there any guilt or any hope or no, I'm okay where I am, or there's a part of you that want to rescue some people that stay in the back, or?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I have two siblings that are like that. They struggle on a daily basis, and but I also believe everybody chooses their own path too. I think we are all faced with the same cards. It's just how you move them around, how you deal with them. And my siblings are, I know they have resentment towards me because of the success that they think I have, or whatever it might be. Yeah, that's a tough question. I want to help. I want to help them, but again, if you don't want to help yourself and you don't want to make yourself better and get better and surround yourself with the right people, it's hard for me to do that for so long. Mm-hmm. It's got to be a two-way street. It can't be just a one-way street all the time, because eventually you're going to run into a dead end. And I've hit that dead end with them many, many times. And yeah, I want to help the people around me, but you got to want to help yourself first.
Yeah. Do you talk to them?
Yeah, well, mostly my sister. Every once in a while, I have a conversation with her, but it's on a very non-personal level. It's not a very intimate conversation.
When you said like you were present with the same cards, actually this is American expression that I love. We don't have in Portuguese. Like there's. If you could say in words like what did you do different, if you could point that they didn't, and when I come, this is not from a place of curiosity, gossipy, but like I'm saying, like that's what we want to go find our story for people that are watching us, like because a lot of people are present with difficult cards, and it's so common that we see someone in the family thriving, and the other person. What did you think you did differently than your siblings?
I don't know. I think maybe the only thing I could really relate it to is the fact that at that time when my parents had passed away, I was 18. I had already knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to be a chef. Did I know that I wanted to be where I am today? No, of course not. But I knew that I wanted to do something that I loved to do, and that was, at the time, cooking was what I loved to do. So, and cooking made me happy. It always made me the happiest. So if I could just dive into something that makes me happy and take away all the pain that I was suffering from and concentrate 100% on cooking, then that's what I was doing. And that's what I did.
Wow.
And that's what gave me the, I guess, the true, like, vision, the true discipline to just block anything out and just straight and narrow, this is what I'm doing.
Wow.
And I'm going to put my head up in 10 years and see where I stand. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'd say that to the young guys, the young cooks, is bury yourself 10 years, put your head down, and dedicate 100% of your time to this profession, if this is what you want to do, to your craft, to your love. And then come up in 10 years and see where you stand. Look around and see how probably further ahead you are than anyone else around you.
I'm loving your answers because I feel we are in a generation right now that is lacking of persistence, is lacking of continue. Actually, they do have studies that this generation right now, they start a job, they already see a shiny object, and so it's so refreshing and empowering for you to say that.
There's no follow through anymore.
Yeah.
There's no being a man of your word anymore. It's, oh, I'll commit to you for a year and a half, 2 years. Okay, no you won't, because I'm going to guarantee you're going to be gone in 6 months. Because that's on to the next. There's a better job. They're paying me 25 cents more an hour. That's the mentality. Unfortunately, that's the way it is in this day and age of at least the restaurant business.
Wow. And when it comes to your personal life, you are divorced, 2 beautiful daughters. Is there a space for somebody else in your life? You don't want to think about this anymore? How is your heart? How are you?
Yeah, of course there's limited time, of course. There's time for someone else. It's a matter of if I'm willing to commit 100% to that. With the things that I want to do with the restaurant and with other restaurants in the future of my career. I want to do a book. I want to do other things. Is it fair to say to the other person, hold on? I'm always very sensitive to that, because I feel like in the first 15 years of my career, I was telling everybody to hold on. I was very selfish, and being selfish got me to where I am today. And I think you have to be selfish to do that, because if you're not selfish, you're not putting 100% in, because 100% means 110%, and that leaves 0 time for anything else. You're not going out. You're not going to the bars. You're not hanging with your friends. You're not going on a date with your wife. You're not going out with your girlfriend. You're not going with your boyfriend. You're not walking your dogs. You're doing this. You're working. And you're trying to get better every single day, because the mentality has to be, tomorrow has to be better than today in every aspect. If it's tying your shoes better, it has to be better than yesterday, because that's the only way you get better. So I don't know if I answered the question.
No, I when I'm listening to you, there's a part of me that I'm like, I don't know who told you, or that's your idea of being selfish, but I truly don't see you as a selfish person. The world calls selfish, but I truly believe it's self-nurturing. People that are able to self-nurture themselves and what they love. And like I see a humble man, a guy they care for, they want to make a difference in the world. And I think those things brought you here to. It's okay, I understand the selfish part, but I'm like, wow, I truly don't see a selfish person here talking to me. But one of my last questions that I want to ask you, okay, you have a second chance in your life to do one thing differently. What would you do differently?
Nothing. I wouldn't do anything different. I live my life right now with zero regret. I try to make the choices of my life with zero regret. Maybe I'd be a rock star. I don't know. That seems a little bit more interesting than what I'm doing now, but I don't know. I try not to live anything with regrets. I'm very happy with the choices I've made and the choices I want to continue to make. Yeah, I don't know.
And I'm curious. I was coming here and I'm curious, not just about you, but I'm curious about one person in your life. Is there that one friend that is brave enough to invite you over for dinner? Do you have I can't imagine a person say, hey, we are having ribs, honey, let's go.
Yeah,
Curtis, to come over. I would never invite you to my house. I would never cook for you. It's not going to happen, never. If we became best friends, do you have friends that invite you over
Absolutely.
for dinner?
Grilled cheese is one of my favorite things, and I have a beautiful friend that makes me grilled cheese.
Oh.
And
what was her name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Brave woman.
No, I mean, you know what, for me, it's like, if someone's willing to cook for you, that's the greatest thing they can give to me. Because I don't expect anything great out of anybody to cook for me. That's like, I can't even imagine what the pressure would be like. Mm-hmm. But I'm so appreciative that somebody actually just wants to do that, and I don't have to think about it. And it could be the worst thing ever, but I'm still going to appreciate the fact that they took the time to do it, and...
So way to go, Jennifer. I want to interview her and learn her confidence, where it came from.
Yeah,
if it's from her ability or because she's just,
I think it's just, again, it's like, I don't really care. They could make me a bowl of cereal, and I'd be happy with it. Mm-hmm. I'm not this high maintenance guy that needs 3-star food every single day. Mm-hmm. I cook and eat like everybody else, so.
My last question. So your daughters, Eva and Eden, did I say right? Eden. They are sitting in front of her grandkids. This is the future. They are talking to their grandkids. So you're no longer here. Maybe you are, who knows? But in this question, you are not.
I doubt it.
How do you want them to describe you in few words?
As their hero. As their hero. Yeah. That I was a good father to them. Yeah. I'd be happy with that.